All right, the second half of trig ratios, you're going to label page 115, 13.1 to 13.2. After this, you should be able to do the entire practice that you have been given. Okay, so go ahead, we're going to get started on the questions in the foldable that you have been given for today. You will need a calculator because you have to use one in the beginning. So once it's in degree mode, we are going to use our buttons on our calculator to approximate these to 4 decimal places. On your calculator, you have those 3 buttons right there. Sine, cosine, and tangent. We will use those inverses tomorrow, but today we're working with sine, cosine, and tangent. So number 1, you need to press what? Sine, and then you need to put 35, and then you need to close the parentheses. And press enter. That is as hard as these problems get. Approximate to 4 decimal places. 5, 7, 3. Find cosine of 10 and tangent of 74. The reason this is a decimal is because, you know, all of the other ones we did a few minutes ago were. If you change this to a fraction, you could find the lengths of the triangle, but we're not doing that. So find cosine of 10, tangent of 74. What's the cosine of 10? 1848. Do you think it makes sense that this was like 35 degrees and this is smaller? 9848. So see what I was about to say didn't make sense. Okay, how about tangent of 74? 3.4874. Tangent is the only ratio in this kind of situation that can be bigger than 1. The reasons that the other two cannot be bigger than 1 is because what is the longest side of your triangle? And you always have a smaller side divided by the hypotenuse, which is the largest. So if you have something that is bigger than 1 for 1 or 2, as long as it's like an angle that fits in a triangle, then you would have had a problem. Tangent's fine. Okay. Glue this in. We're going to finish the rest of it tomorrow. Alright, so we're solving for either y or z first. It does not matter which one we solve first, so somebody pick which one you want to solve first. Alphabetical. I heard y. I heard z. We'll go alphabetical. Oh, we're not going to use z to find y, because that would include rounding. We're not going to round. Yeah, we're not going to round. Z, okay, you said Z is easier, so sure, let's start with Z. Here is what I need to know. I don't care about Y right now. So I'm finding Z. I have an angle, and I have this side, and I'm looking for this side. If I'm looking specifically at this angle, the one that's given to me, what is 20 compared to that angle? That is adjacent, okay? I'm just writing that for the benefit of those who have not done this before. What is Z compared to that? Okay, which of your trigonometric ratios involves opposite and adjacent? Tangent. If you remember from your ratios, and you should have them on the next page that you're looking at, the ratio for tangent is tangent of, like, whatever, it's tangent of the angle is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. And then you are going to multiply. Multiply by what? So Z equals 20 tangent of 15. I need you now to plug that in and get an answer. Just do 20 times tangent of 15. 5.4. Yeah, round up. 5.4. Here is why you guys said we could use z to find y. You're right. Technically, we could. What would we use? We would use the Pythagorean theorem. I don't want you to do that because we have that z is 5.4 and we round it. You will be more accurate if you use a trigonometric ratio and you don't round at all. So we're going to use another one to find y. Okay, I don't care about this one anymore. I still only have 15 degrees. 20 is adjacent to that. What is y compared to 15 degrees? It's the hypotenuse. Which trigonometric ratio has the adjacent and the hypotenuse? So we are going to set up cosine of 15 equals adjacent 20 over hypotenuse y. Once I set it up, I should be okay, but what am I going to do with this problem? I got to multiply by something. What did I multiply by up here? Where was 20? What's in the denominator here? I have to multiply by the denominator because I need it out of the denominator. But now I have y times the cosine of 15 equals 20. So there's actually an extra step to this one. Divide by the cosine of 15. So in your calculator, you need to type in 20 divided by the cosine of 15. It's what? I heard 8.7 and I heard 20.7. 20? I just can't hear? Okay, cool. 20.7. Does that make sense? It definitely couldn't be 8. Is this y supposed to be the longest one? Yes, it is. If you got something other than 20.7 on your calculator, you need to make sure it's in degree mode. You need to make sure you typed in cosine. You need to make sure you did divide. That's normally what happens. Okay, let's look at the next example. We only have to find x on this example. We always start with the angle that we are given. We are given 28 degrees. What is x compared to 28 degrees? What is 6.2 compared to 28 degrees? Which trigonometric ratio is got opposite and hypotenuse? Sine of 28 equals, what's the opposite? Over what's the hypotenuse? How do you solve this one? So in your calculator, you're going to type in 6.2 times sine of 28 degrees and find out what you get. 2 point what? 2.9? Okay. I want you to do the next one where you have to find x and y. Alright, the third example on 4. Why, they're all numbered like that, I have no idea. Which one did you find first, x or y? Y. Okay, that one is. Some of you like to say that easier. You found y. The one angle that I'm given is 31. What is y compared to 31? Adjacent. Of course, you do not have to label yours. Some people that helps. What is 4? And while we're at it, x is the hypotenuse. Okay, for y, I only care about the one I have and the one I'm looking for. Which ratio uses opposite and adjacent? So tangent of 31 equals what? Oh, they both come out where we have to do the double step, don't we? Multiply and we get y times tangent of 31 equals 4. So then what'd you do? Some of you might write less steps, that's fine. Some of you don't need to write more. This is what you're typing in your calculator. What'd you get when you did that? Okay, there is one solution there. We need to find x. Alright, again, we have 4. Which ratio is opposite and hypotenuse? So sine of 31 equals 4 over x. X sine of 31 equals 4. What did you type in? Which gives you what'd you do? Use cosine of what? Did you use 6.7 instead of? Yeah, that's how. If you use it of the other one, it's fine. Since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, it normally would come out that even if we used the Pythagorean theorem, it would be the same decimal. It's a better idea not to. Alright, this is what you do when you are missing side lengths. Make a big, note here. That is how to find a side length. I'm not saying you will. I have people that get confused when we get to finding an angle, and they confuse finding an angle with finding a side. We just did how to find a side. Now we need to do how to find an angle. So that's what the next 3 examples are about. So make a nice little note here. This is find the measure of the angle. Angle measure. And it says to the nearest degree, so that means we're not going to even have a decimal. We're just going to round it up or down to the nearest degree. Not down. You know what I mean. Either round down or either round up or leave it the same. Okay. To find angle measures, we are going to look at what they're asking us to find. We are looking for this angle. Now, we need to look at what we have. What is 9 compared to this angle? What is 10 compared to this angle? Which ratio is adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine. I'm just going to label this x so I have some variable. So the cosine of, do we know the angle of x, equals the adjacent 9 over the hypotenuse 10. When we solve equations, we always do what? Like if you have to add, how do you undo that? Subtract. If you have multiply, you divide. What are those called? They're opposite. They're like the opposite operation, right? They're technically called inverse operations. We need the inverse of cosine. Yeah. On your calculator, you're going to press second cosine. The inverse means you are literally going to find whatever the inverse of 9 over 10 is. You will plug that in your calculator. You only use inverse, cosine, sine, and tangent if you are looking for an angle. I have people that use it for all kinds of stuff when it's only for an angle. So if you're confused about what second cosine, not that you can see my calculator, 9 divided by 10, you should get 26 degrees because it says to the nearest degree, so we're going to round up since it's 0.8. So our missing angle is 26 degrees. We could find the other one by just subtracting from 180 or 90. Number 2. Here is my missing angle. I'm going to call it x again just because I like a variable. What is 20 compared to the missing angle? What is 38? Which ratio is opposite and hypotenuse? So sine of x equals what? 20 over 38. What will you be doing to actually find what that degree is? Inverse sine of 20 over 38. You guys all agree it's 32? Alright, I want you to do number 3. Alright, what ratio did you guys use on number 3? Tangent, okay. Tangent of what? X equals what? 27 over 32 because you have the opposite over the adjacent. So what did you type in your calculator? The inverse tangent of 27 over 32. Alright, and what was your angle? Very good. If you wanted to find this angle, what would it be? You could do 32 over 27. You also can find it using this, but yep. Just 50? Yeah. So it'd be 50, yeah. Alright, next we're going to talk about these with some word problems. You have to, in your packet, draw the pictures for your own word problems. Which means you might need to be asking that throughout, you know. That packet, remember, is not due till Friday anyway. Okay. Example 5. You are measuring the height of a building. That means, hey, this is what I need to know. You stand 100 feet from the base of the building. 100 feet away, here you are. You measure the angle of elevation. This is always the angle of elevation. That is important to know. From a point on the ground to the top of the building to be 48 degrees. Estimate the height of the building. We are finding a side length. What does that mean we're going to do? We're using tangent because we need the opposite and we have the adjacent. Okay? Then we literally just fill in. Tangent of what? Equal 48, not 28. Tangent of 48 equals, I like it when it comes out over something so I don't have to double anything. Alright, then what am I going to do? Okay, so you're going to plug in 100 times tangent of 48. And we're going to round, did it say what to round to? It didn't, so we're going to do what it said at the beginning, which is nearest tenth. Really? That's a lot of ones. Feet. Don't forget, if they give you a unit of measurement, so please use it. Alright, so now that we are finished with those, we're gluing this one in on 115. And you should be able to finish the practice questions that you have now. Of course, ask me questions on anything you need help with. There we go. Let's go ahead and finish the practice. Ask questions as you need to.